How's it going, folks? Bison Vaulted back again with another meaty video for you guys. Today we're doing the Warrior card reviews for the Hearthstone Titans expansion. I'm Nate, joined by Mr. Josh. You want to say hi or howdy, as per usual?
Howdy.
All right, let's get right into it. So, first card, Furious Furnace, 2 mana, 1/3 magnetic. Also damages minions next to whomever this attacks, and it's a mech. So I like this card specifically because of Ziliax, but that's so inconsistent, and there's also really not a lot of mechs for Warrior at the moment. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of cleave effects. I think they are, pretty strong. And so I have no problems with, putting that on a magnetic. You get something down, especially like something like Ziliax with Rush. It's a very strong effect. But right now, Warrior has two class mechs, and one is not one you want to attack with. It's the 4/3 that you draw a card and gain 4 armor when you attack. You're not going to want to put a cleave effect on that. And the other one is the Dynamatic, which you're playing for the battle cry.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't see a mech warrior coming out of this expansion. So we have to see if the mini set or further expansions help this card along. But for right now, I think it's a 2-star card.
I like it in Wild a lot with Dr. Boom, but yeah, I think 2 is right where it goes for standard. I think it'll see experimentation, but I don't think it's gonna be that impactful in the meta overall. All right,
Nope.
next up we got Smelt, 2 mana fire spell. Give a random minion in your hand +3/+3. Lose 3 armor. Do it again. Right off the bat, I think losing the 3 armor is not that big of a downside to double this effect. And it's a fire spell, so it's really good with how do you pronounce it? Thorbalorn?
Thorbalorn.
Yeah, Thorbalorn and the 1-drop, or is it a 2-drop? That deals 1 damage to all enemies when you cast a fire spell. Well, whatever the card is.
What was that?
This is good synergy with the card that does 1 damage to all enemies when you cast a fire spell, or 1 damage to all enemy minions.
I mean, yeah, it could slot into the currently popular Enraged Warrior.
Yeah, really well, in my opinion.
But I wouldn't say really well, just because of the fact that deck usually doesn't care about having armor, and they're really not going to. You're more so tempoing out, so you'd have to have 2 hero powers up. Because at least in my iteration of the deck, I don't think I have any armor gain cards.
Yeah.
And I think the top deck on HS doesn't have any. So if it would be a specific version of it that caters to this, but I don't see it fitting too well with that kind of situation. But in a kind of control, want to get some big minions down, I think this will find a nice home.
Yeah, I think this card is strong specifically because of Minotaur. That gaining armor for attack or for value equal to its attack makes this card pretty strong. In that type of control deck. But
yeah, we can revisit that when we go over Minotaurin, but I think that will be a pretty strong combo.
But that is a 2-card combo. I think 3 is fair. Maybe you'd want to go 2, and I'd be fine with 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely fringe 3, so I'm more leaning towards 3 than a 2, but anywhere in that kind of ballpark.
So I'll say 3 for now. Okay.
Okay.
Next up, Bellowing Flames, 3 mana fire spell. Deal 5 damage to a minion. Forge, then deal 5 damage split among all enemy minions. I think this card's really strong. It's effectively, this card you can play with or without Forge, but I think this card you want to Forge most of the time if you can afford to spend the extra 2 mana. If you can't, though, just clearing a minion with 5 or less health is really strong in my opinion. And it's a fire spell, so you get all the same fire synergies that you get with the previous card. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a fan of this card. I think it's by far the best Forge card we've seen and we've reviewed. So, to this point, being able to, because we talked about if you go and watch our Warlock video, that randomly split, could be eaten up by something big and you don't clear anything. This helps with that because you're able to target down a big minion and clean up a couple tokens or another five, kill 2/5/5s with this pretty easily because you can target down that other card. So I think that makes this card very powerful. And I don't, the two mana overhead. You gotta think this is that Forge is a 3 mana plus effect that we've seen elsewhere that you can get for that 2 mana. So I think this card will see play and is a strong card.
Yeah, I think it also is going to enable Warrior to be like the only class that runs the... Let me find him. The Forge Legendary. Ignis.
Yes, 4/4 Ignis.
So I think that helps it a lot in that situation. I think I would almost go 5 on this card, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm probably... I like to see it at 4, but, it's definitely strong.
Mm. Yeah, I think 4's right around there for this card.
Yeah, I think 4 is definitely fair for it.
Next up, Steam Guardian, 3 mana 3/3 elemental battlecry, draw a spell, reduce the cost of a fire spell in your hand by 1. And note that is after you draw a spell. This card is insane to me. It's good. It's 3 mana 3/3. Draw a spell, so you're already gaining back the card advantage in your hand. And if it is a fire spell, which I'm sure most decks run only fire spells if you want them to, even if you have a fire spell in your hand, you draw a good card by reducing the cost by 1. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I think this card is fabulous. I mean, it's going to slot into every single control armor warrior that we're going to see, especially because all the cards they got this expansion are fire.
Yeah.
Besides for the occasional, you'll run your shield slams in the deck, and you're going to run your brawls, just because it makes too much sense not to run those key removal spells.
Mm-hmm.
But the chance that you don't have a fire spell in hand when you play this, or B, don't draw one off its effect to capitalize on that 1 mana discount are slim to none. You're gonna consistently be able to get a fire spell to capitalize on the discount. And even if you can't, a 3 mana 3/3 draw spell for your deck is fair. It's definitely not something you're gonna feel bad about doing, even if you can't get the 1 mana reduction. But you're gonna feel pretty good at playing this card. It's gonna feel good. I'm a big fan of this card. Cards like this are what truly are worth the 5-star rating. That it is just gonna slot in to
every deck.
Probably every warrior deck we see in this expansion will have a Steam Guardian plugged into it.
And speaking of cards you're gonna run in every warrior deck, we have Stone Skin Armor, 3 mana 3/4, battlecry for armor changed, so that can increase or decrease. Draw 2 cards. This card's disgusting, in my opinion. It's so good. Drawing 2, it's just good cycle, right? It really changing your armor. If you have a weapon equipped, it's fine. Even if you have to use your hero power with this, it's still 5 mana for this, and it's still gonna be crazy. I think this is really insane.
Yeah, I mean the card itself is slipping my mind on what it's called. But do you remember that little 4-cost pre-spell that was when your health changed, destroy a minion? That got played in everything.
Yep, every deck.
Every single deck. And that deck didn't even have weapons that you could capitalize off of it with. Mm-hmm. You didn't get, a weapon that you could change your own health. This you can attack into something, change your armor, and plop this down and draw 2 more cards. This is another super strong card. Mm. Or you don't even have to attack. The card we talked about a few ago. Play that fire spell. Whoopsie-doo! You just change your armor again. So you'll not only get a 3/3 buff, you'll also get to draw 2 cards. On turn 5, that's a phenomenal turn 5, and you might even be able to realize those buffs immediately if it hits the Stone Skin Armor. Mm-hmm. Then you're playing a 6/7 on turn 5, and that's going to feel phenomenal.
Even better, you play Craftsman Hammer on turn 4, and that guarantees this basically goes off. You play the next card we're about to show.
Yeah, I think it's going to feel better if you could, turn 4, that's turn 4 and turn 5. That's kind of the nuts. I think this card's going to get a ton of play, and it's going to be able to fuel this deck into, high tier 2, probably tier 1 deck.
Yeah, I completely agree. So definitely a 5-star. Next up, Craftsman Hammer, 4 mana, 4 mana weapon. 3 attack, 3 durability. After your hero attacks and kills a minion, gain 4 armor. While this card definitely is slightly worse than Outrider's Axe, it's with what Warrior wants to do now. Gaining the 4 armor does seem a little more important to me. It's because of like we said, Stone Skin armor. It's pretty strong. I wouldn't say as strong as the cards we've just seen, but I wouldn't call it bad by any means. What do you think?
No, it's definitely not bad. It's, you're getting 3 charges, 3 good clears, and you're gaining armor, which is obviously what you want to do. I mean, it's a little counterintuitive with Odin, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, because you don't actually get the damage buff. Or on the opposite side, you gain armor first, then this will kill, and you gain 4 more. So that's, you have that. I think this is going to be a really good control piece. This is another card that's going to get played. Outrider's Act got played in everything.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to fill a very similar spot. And so I like this card a lot.
I think 4 is where it's at. I wouldn't say 5 yet. I think 4 is pretty strong rating for this card.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Alright, let's go next. And now we have the Titan card. Khazgaroth, did I pronounce that right? I think
Khazgaroth, yep.
Khazgaroth. 6 mana, 4/4 Titan. After this uses an ability, gain immune. This turn attack a random enemy minion. So note, it doesn't go face, which I think makes it fairly strong off the bat. So we've got Titan Forge, gain +2/+2, draw a weapon. Tempering, gain +5 attack, be here +5. Or you gain 5 attack on Khazgaroth and be here +5 attack. And then Heart of Flame, 5 health, 5 armor, which also synergizes very well with the new other legendary for this class. I think he's strong, but definitely not as good as the other ones. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, no, this is definitely the weakest that we've reviewed so far. If you could choose who it attacks, it would definitely be better. But, a random minion, that's not what you want to see out of a card like this. You're going to clear whatever you hit, especially if you play this on turn 6. You can pick and choose what you do to make sure you kill what you want. But, it will feel good if you're just tacking into one single minion. You can get the armor or whatnot. So, I think it's strong, but I don't think it's as busted as the 2 we've talked about before.
Yeah, my issue is I also don't know what ability you want to use right away.
It's gonna be very dependent on the board state. Yeah. It's just gonna depend on situation. Like I think Titan Forge would be the first go-to, or Heart of Flame, unless there's a big minion that you temper.
Yeah.
But
I think he's strong, but he seems fair. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't seem like as good as the other cards. I'd say high 3, low 4 is for Khazgaroth. I'd probably round him down to a 3, in my opinion.
I would say 3. 3's good spot for him.
You definitely don't run this in every deck, at least. And next up.
No, you'll probably run it in the armor package, though. I think it's a good, just a good filler spot for armor.
So next up we got Minotaur, 6 mana, 5/5 with a rush. Whenever this minion deals damage, gain that much armor. So at first, I thought this card wasn't that good, but he's a card you want to hold till after you play your Odin Prime, in my opinion. Having him deal 5 and then gain 5 armor and have another 5 from your face is pretty strong in my opinion, especially if you can combo him with Smelt. That is very strong. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be good. I definitely see a kind of hand buff package, going on with this. You want to play it after it's been gotten a little buffed. You want to play it after Odin. But it's going to be a good removal, and if you have to play it before, you're still going to feel good about it. 6 costs, 5/5, or remove a minion, get armor. It's going to feel pretty good. I think it's going to feel really good after Odin getting that 5 extra attack.
Yeah.
But even at that, I think it'll be all right.
I'd say 4 for this card.
Yes. Yeah, I think a 4-star rating's fine.
Okay. All right. Next up, Trial by Fire, 7 mana, fire spell. Summon 5/1/1 Valkyr with Rush. When one dies, give the others +1/+1. Josh, you want to explain your thought process first for this card?
Yeah, so I think this card is going to be really strong, a strong removal tool. Because if you look at something like Expended Performers, right, got played a lot. It was a really strong removal card for Demon Hunter during Dark Moon. And that was, for those who don't remember, was summon 7 1/1 Rush Performers that if they all died, summon 7 more. They all had Rush. This is going to do a similar thing, but, you know, as long as you do a little math, you'll be able to do something even better, arguably. Because say you deal 7 damage. That's going to be your first one. Bump that in. Your second, 2 damage. Third one, 3. That's going to be 6. Then you're going to have 2 left at 4/4s. And say, you know, you kill a 6/6. I think having 2 4/4s is going to be better than having just a mob of 1/1s. It's harder to remove. So, I think this would feel better if it was 6 Valkyr with Rush rather than 5. But I think this is going to get play, and it's going to be pretty strong. Because I think those when you get up to the 4/4s, they're going to be able to start taking trades, and you know, beat down what you need.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's pretty versatile because if you need to, you can clear the entire board, but you never play this on an empty board, in my opinion. I think
no, you never do.
Pretty silly. So you do need to react, and for that I'm going to dock it a little bit. It's definitely not 5. I think 3 is right about where I'm at for this.
I agree. I'm at 3 with it.
Because I could see this. I could definitely see this seeing play, but I'm afraid it might be a little too slow with only 5 of them. Is where I'm kind of at right now. But yeah, so 3 stars is pretty fair.
Yep.
Last up, Odin Prime Designate, 8 mana, 8/8. Rest of the game, your hero gains armor equal, or your hero gains attack equal to the armor you gained that turn. I think this card's definitely strong, but my only issue with this card is that you're gonna want to gain armor or use your armor generating cards to be able to play this card on turn 8 or whenever you draw him. But that being said, there still are a lot of it's still a good win condition, in my opinion. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, that sounds a lot like the argument I made for this card. You know, because it is the argument I made for this card.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, the downturn when you play it's gonna feel awful because you know 8 mana, 8/8, and that's all you're doing. Not gonna feel not technically. You could have, you plop that down. Then if you play a shield block, all of a sudden a shield block already feels great. Gain 5 armor, draw a card for 2. Feels fantastic. Now you're getting 5 attack on top of that.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel really good. It's gonna start snowballing. And then also things like, because I think what I think is gonna happen is that this is gonna be a combo of armor and taunt. They kind of go hand in hand. You're gonna see things like, I was gonna keep going with playing your shield block, and then you're immediately gonna have the armor to play Mossworm Bailiff, which is a 5-drop 5 cost 8/8. Or you're going to be able to play your Flesh Shaper and get 2 of them, while also having 5 attack. There's definitely good armor cards. Title Revenant, you're going to deal 5 damage, gain 8 armor, gain 8 attack. That's going to feel fantastic. You're going to be able to catch up so fast off the back of this card that as long as you're in a pretty stable state when you play it, which you should be in an armor control deck, you're going to be able to catch up and just beat the tar out of your opponent with massive armor converted to damage.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
heavy plate. Didn't even think about that. Heavy plate's just gain 8 attack, gain 8 gain armor.
Yeah, I was thinking about heavy plate too because it's tradable, so you can play whenever you want to. But I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a super viable version, but there's definitely gonna be people who are playing the Razorfen Rockstar and just trying to do like a singular pop-off turn. I mean, it's possible. The OTK is gonna be possible, but I think it's gonna be more of attrition kind of situation that you're just gonna keep smacking them and they're not gonna be able to handle it.
Yeah. I think 4 is fair because he does get kind of chump blocked by taunts pretty hard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think 4 is a great spot for this card.
Yeah.
Just because it will be slow, and you have to. you'll have to burn a lot of armor cards to get to him.
Mhm.
So hopefully you don't burn too many that you can still use its value. Even your hero power is kind of great at that point. You know, just 2 mana, gain 2 attack, gain 2 health.
Yep. But yeah, that's about it for these cards.
Do you think was one thing I want to add? Do you think Armageddon gets played again? Do you think in the taunt package people are going to be playing the Armageddon?
That's the one that buffs your taunt mains in your hand.
6 cost 4/8 that gives your taunts +2/+2 in your hand. I'd love to see it. I love that.
Maybe see that.
It's not terrible, but I think it could see it. I'm kind of a believer.
And I think you're coping. There's no good taunt minions introduced with this.
No good taunt minions. I beg to differ. I mean, not introduced, but there's been a good taunt package already get laid out in front of us. You know, you have cards like Training Session, Discover a Taunt. If you play it this turn, repeat this. You have that one. You have Last Stand, draw a taunt minion, Mana Thirst 7, double its stats. You have.
I think those cards would see play already if that was good enough. There's nothing here that really seems like it would synergize with that, to be honest. But
I don't know. I think taunt. Well, because see, the ones that have to do with armor are later on. Or, you know, the higher cost ones. You have those are just the early game ones, which I think will have to be played. But Ignis Lava Gorger, already a fantastic card. We see that played a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the Mossworm Bailiff, which is the gain +4/+4 if you have 4 armor.
Mm-hmm.
Flesh Shaper, great card, getting 2 big taunts down. I could see it. Abyssal Basis, because you're gonna have weapons in this, so I think that's gonna definitely be slotted in.
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what comes up. I'm 100% gonna make a taunt armor deck and see what I can do with it.
But yeah, so that's about it for our card review, guys.
Yep.
Let us know what you think in the comments. And one last thing, I know I said Sargeras was possibly stronger than Odin, but Josh talked me into saying that Sargeras is stronger, which I definitely believe now. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Leave a like and comment if you enjoyed, and any critiques you have for these cards. But yeah, hope to see you in the next one.
See ya.